Hey, what's going on, DBI? It's been quite a long time, but welcome back. We're going to do another roleplay review. This time it is for Zofu and Styx. Take what you can, give what you must. What's up, folks? Been a minute. Sorry about the delay. The holidays happened. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody was chilling. The command center was commandeered, but I'm back. I'm back here in the hot seat, ready to go over some logs with you guys. Like I said, we're going to do take what you can, give what you must. And it's got Zofu and Styx. This is a slice of life. It's dialogue. It's got some atmosphere to it. The arc is the Lord of Blacklay, and the synopsis is basically that Zofu finds Styx atop the roof of the Crimson Stadium in Pepper City, and he invites her to do some shopping in the city. Then things get a little emotional. And when I first read this log, I was like, okay, so should I actually do a video review for it? It's quite lengthy, enough to where we had to break it up into, a post and a reply. So there's some stuff that happens here. But like it kind of says, it's a slice of life. It's just one of those, like, anybody want to roleplay? Yeah, I'll roleplay with you. And then things just happen. But the reason that I want to talk about this log, the reason I want to make a video for it, is because of two things. One, there's a moment in this log. There is a very specific moment in this log that when I originally read it, it had me scathing. I hated this moment so much. And I wanted to walk away from the log. It was posted on December 5th. As of recording this video, it is January 24th. So we've had almost 2 months since it's been posted that it's getting a review for it. To that, I apologize. But then I came back to it a couple weeks later, reread it. After I reread it, and then I eventually got around to awarding it. And now that I've come back to it a third time, I actually reread that same moment again this morning, and my position has changed, but I still want to talk about that. And then there's another reason that I wanted to review this log, and it doesn't have really anything to do with the words on page, but this log represents something that I do believe that we need to talk about. I do believe something needs to be said about it. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to get right kind of into it with that other thing that needs to be talked about. And again, it has nothing to do with the roleplay in hand, but this roleplay does mention it. So as we hear in the synopsis, the log starts off with Styx is on the top of the Crimson Stadium in Pepper City. I almost wanted to say Crimson Pepper State, but yeah, the Crimson Stadium in Pepper City. And for that alone leads me to this discussion. Guys, we're gonna change here. We need to get this legacy system kind of panned out, because from what Styx has here, Styx has legacy. Styx has legacy with Zofu. Styx has legacy with Goliath. Styx has legacy outside of even the stadium, the Keyball Stadium, in the oh my god, I just had it, the roasted bean, right? So the roasted bean is part of a legacy. Indon has legacy. Indon's actually had 2 legacies in the Eliza Institute and now in his power plant that he has. Sin have legacy. I'm losing all these names right now. Hypo is growing legacy, and Cordio is adding to that. So yeah, we have to kind of iron something out. And I know that Ike came up with 2 different iterations of this, and the basic reception of it was, I don't like it, throw it away. Guys, we're never going to get anywhere with that. There were some people who were like, yeah, I don't like this, and this. I thought a lot of it was salvageable. I agreed with some of it. I didn't agree with some of it. I can kind of understand where he was going with it. I think it was a very good first draft. But the general reception of it was that people were just like, yeah, we don't want any of this, and we'll come up with something better. And when he opened up the discussion, there hasn't been anything that has been concrete in it. I think that we need to get to that point. So I'm going to say this directly to the RPC. Like, we should give ourselves till June, right? June, we should have a legacy system in place. I kind of want to put like a hard, like, we're going to have it in place by then. So get your ideas together. And when I say get your ideas together, I don't mean kind of what's happening right now of, oh, well, this thing does this and this does this. No, like, come together with a complete package of beginning, middle, end, buffs, debuffs, boons, and opposite of boons. You know, have things that are going to be good about it, have things that are, I won't say going to be bad, but you can't have everything being a plus. There has to be some sort of drawback. There has to be some sort of, like, nobody can be like, if this were a fighting game character, the character can't be great at everything. There should be something in the legacy system where it's going to have some sort of drawback to it. It's going to have some sort of like, oh, you lost this, so this is what you can gain, things like that. But we need a system. People have legacy. And the reason I'm kind of harping on this is because if we let this go, the lack of a system to allow people to do these things is either going to say, one, you can't do it because there's no way for us to, I don't want to say control it, but there's no way for this not to then trump the, sorry, I'm having a brain fart, right? There's no way for this to trump the tier system, right? Because, yeah, you could be tier 2, you can have, you know, Hypo could be tier 2 and then be the ruler of Yellow because he just kind of said Canvas runs the show now. And how are we going to stop that, right? How are we going to counter that? It then becomes an arms race. So he says he has Canvas, someone else says that they have this, they have that, they have that. And if we just say that it is, then that was the whole point of the tier system, to just not say, like, this is how powerful, this is how influential, this is how, you know, I own this land. I forgot to mention even, you know, Zofu and Castle Blacklay. Who's to say that his mages just don't show up and now they rule everything? So that's what I mean. We gotta have to get a system in place for the legacy because people have it. They have it now, and we need to kind of find a way to balance it. But anyway, back to the log. I went on my rant for for about 7 minutes there. But the log itself, again, it's a slice of life. So Styx and Zofu, they meet on the top of the stadium, and kind of surprising to me, Styx is talking to Zofu saying, like, yeah, you know, we're having this this board meeting, but you don't have to attend. You know, we can just, you know, kind of fill in the blanks. We'll Bruce Wayne you in, and you don't. We'll fill you in later. I know that you really don't care. And Zofu's like, no, like, I'm a part of this. Like, I'm invested in here. My name is on here. I want to be present for these things. So yeah, let me know what's going on. And he's really kind of like putting a foot forward with this, to where I was surprised. I didn't think it would be something he would be so interested in, but you know, the reason I'm surprised is because I just feel like he's kind of spreading himself thin, right? With the restoration of Castle Blacklay and doing the things he needs to do there. Why would he care about this keyball stuff? I mean, I don't know. That's as a reader, that's something I'm interested to see develop with this character. Is, you know, what is his interest in it? Is it simply because he's Styx's friend, this is important to Styx, and he's, you know, he's given his word of, yeah, I am gonna help you with this. So, you know, I don't care about this, I care about you. So here I am. I'm gonna give it my all. Or maybe it's just a giant ploy. Maybe the stadium is just Zofu's way of how he's gonna take over Earth. And you know, Styx is still talking about, you know, her roasted beans. She's always drinking her coffees, and I do love that Kurogane has kind of made it canon, his drinks, right? Like, we see Iserian spice show up again and again. There's like some continuity with these drinks that Styx has, and I think it would be really funny if, like, the missive we got for the invites to the Yuletide, if we actually got somebody to make like just a graphic of the roasted beans menu, I think that would be pretty funny. And then, you know, random person, Cordio is on Hydia, and he just happens to go to a franchise store of the roasted bean, and he orders something off of that. And then, you know, our new role player Dex is back on Earth, and he orders the same thing. I again, I've said this 1,000 times, I love continuity like that. I love that it kind of makes our role play a living, breathing world. And again, there's not a lot of stuff that's going on in here. Like, they're just talking. They're talking about the Yule and the types of things that they want. And this is kind of the first time that Zofu mentions, you know, I have 2 kids, and that, you know, Majime and Rizian are these demons that he had a hand in making. And so he kind of feels responsible for them. Found family, even, and he's like their father figure. They also talk about like certain smells and inside the bookstore, and yeah, Zofu says, like, even here, like, this is my favorite smell, and they're just really reminiscing, and the two of them are really just bonding. They're just having a time, and both of them notice something about each other, and they don't really want to push it, but just the subtle things of, like, I'm curious about those fresh wounds. I don't know if it's appropriate to ask from Styx. Is something very subtle, but it's like, you notice those things, right? And in the real world, if you see somebody who is looking kind of beat up, you kind of are like, hey, what's going on? And depending on your level of friendship, you know, some people are just like, yo, what's up with your face? What happened? And some people are a little skittish because they don't know if it was, like, you know, something serious that the other person just doesn't want to talk about, if it was like a funny haha story. But in our setting, you know, we live in the Dragon Ball setting, sort of, so fights happen all the time. But even still, like, Styx is like, maybe it was just a rough night. So, or at least that's in my head canon. But yeah, they're just kind of talking. They're at a bookstore. Talking about the bookstore, though, there was, I think it was the second, maybe the first log that I did with Rizian, where Riz was going through Zofu's books, and he's got, like, you know, all of these demonology books, and he's got all these things talking about how you know, magic and stuff like that. And then I did make a mention that Zofu had, like, some silly love story books about romance and things like that. And I remember in Ike's review, he was like, well, I don't know what that's about. It's like, because it's Zofu. He would totally have something like that. And in this log, this is my affirmation, Zofu looks at some of these books. And I don't know if that's just like, if that was like a for me thing, or if that was just him, but I was like, I knew this dude would have some stuff like that. And then, you know, they're just kind of talking about it. The really interesting thing was the moment where they're talking about the necklaces and the pendants and the brooches and the stones. Basically, Styx is kind of saying, like, there needs to be a connection with this gemstone and with the person that I'm going to give it to. It's very special. And if you guys don't know, Styx is, like, very in tune with her emotions and the emotions of others. I would kind of want to say she's not so much like a, she's like an empath is really the best way to say it. Where she kind of, like, even feeds off of the emotions of others, like an emotional vampire is really the best way to put it. And so it makes sense that she kind of wants everything to be embellished a little bit more, to where, you know, like if you were to buy something for someone that you really love and you wanted to get a gemstone that was really meaningful, you know, there might be one person, but I think like for Styx, like almost every interaction that she has with the people that she really cares about like goes to that level. Again, I could be reading more into it than what really is, but you know, it's one of those things where I'm curious to see where it goes. And so as they keep kind of talking, the other thing is that Zofu kind of finds this shadow iron anvil. And he kind of mentions that, you know, like he wants to get this for Riz. It's going to be, you know, without Riz and his magical works, you know, Castle Blackley doesn't really exist without that. Which I was a little shocked to read that Zofu felt that way about his Forge Master. But then they haven't really had like a lot of interactions, surprisingly. And the more I think about it, yeah, like Zofu and Riz really don't kind of interact as much. But for them to kind of have these strong feelings about it, kind of tells me that either it's a big ploy or, you know, Zofu kind of does have, I want to say Zofu has feelings, but he kind of has feelings, because he does a lot to mask them. He does a lot to mask his feelings. He doesn't, it's like he doesn't want to be loved, if that makes any sense. That's exactly what like the vibe Zofu gives off when he's in these role plays with other people. And like, bless her heart, Styx is trying so very hard to kind of get this dude to open up, to kind of get him to just relax a little bit and to be normal, you know. And maybe it's just the way that I'm reading it, but to me Zofu seems so bound and tight and like ready to pop when he's role playing with other people. And then there are certain times where like the scratcher tickets when he was watching the Goliath and Riz fight, like he seemed a little bit more relaxed. When he and Styx were fighting in the woods during the Sanctuary arc, he seemed a little bit more relaxed. But kind of like when Zofu gets into his like, I am the Lord of Blackley, when he gets into that mindset around other people, that's when he seems he's bound too tight. And ironically, as we're getting closer to it, actually we'll just talk about it. So here's the moment. It is the ironic moment. Styx is kind of performing this seance of some sort where, and maybe you guys can give me better context on it. Maybe I didn't understand what I was reading. But Zofu kind of looks into her soul, and then while he's looking into her, she gets access into him, and it kind of opens like this doorway between them. And we get a look at the end of the Minas Mordred. Maybe. Because it says Minas Mordred, a battle that shook the crypt of Aeon, 3 witches, and Minas Mordred, and the Lord of Minas Mordred himself, Morgan. And it's like this, I know what it's coming from, but it's like this horrific scene that we get to see of Zofu being tortured. He gets his eye plucked out. His hand was actually eaten. So we kind of get to see like how and why Zofu was as messed up as he's been for as long as he's been. And you know, he gets a curse etched into his body, and Styx gets to see that. And in a moment of vulnerability, Zofu snaps. And this is the moment. This is the moment that I hated, and specifically this post right here. And I'm going to read this post and I'm going to tell you the gut reaction that I had to it, and then the second reaction, and then my final understanding. So the post goes as such. There was a split second as Styx came forward to wrap her arms around him that Zofu pointed his solid hand into her face. He extended the pointer and the pinky while curling the ring and the middle finger over his thumb and held it out. A mode of energy appeared, a star of complete and absolute destruction. It was sparkling right between her eyes. His Arcanbolt, his Kumashinrei, his technique of pure annihilation. He looked at her with a crazed stare. Then the post goes on, but she continued forward. And instead of firing, Zofu took a step back. And she followed. Until Zofu reached one of the bookshelves and could go back no further. And then her arms finally wrapped around him, and he couldn't resist anymore. He let the blast dissolve, and he didn't embrace Styx back, at least not for a while. But he let her hug him. And he went through so many emotions in that moment that it might be blinding to Styx, who felt them so deeply. Anger, despair, shame, frustration, arrogance. But when he finally hugged back, there was only one emotion left in him. Loneliness. And he held back onto her for a long time. He might have even cried, but anyone who said he did would be dead in short order. And it's a beautiful moment, right? It's a moment that, again, it's Zofu at his most vulnerable that we've ever seen him. Because Styx just looked into his deepest, darkest secret. And here's why I didn't like it at the very beginning. This is why it left a very bad taste in my mouth. And it's not the post itself. It has nothing to do with the action. It has everything to do with the implication. And somewhere in my mind, this is a Riz thing, somewhere in my mind, like, I guess some verbiage changed, but my gut reaction to this was Zofu was going to kill Styx with his Kumashinrei, point blank in her face, and there was nothing that Styx could do about it. Like the way that post, especially the top part where he actually forms the Arcane Bolt, Arcane Bolt. I don't know why I'm saying it that way. When he formed his Arcane Bolt, yeah, it really seemed like she was dead. And that the only reason she didn't die was because the writer of the character who was doing the action is the one who determined that the character who was about to get attacked did not die. And that's how it played out in my mind. And that I did not like, right? And I'm glad it actually wasn't that way. I'm glad that I took time to stop and reread it and get through it. Again, and I walked away from it, and then I came back. I was like, is that really what happened? Is that really how it came about? And it wasn't. But that moment, I was just like, holy shit, please don't let this be true, because I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't handle that. I don't ever want that to be something that we see on page. And again, I'm glad that it was just my misinterpretation of it. So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry that I even had that thought in my head. But the moment then becomes something different. And while I still would like to have not so much changed the verbiage, I would have liked to have seen Styx respond immediately to that first post. So before we get to this, before we get to Zofu kind of saying that she was going to then come, I would have liked to have seen it that he does this. What does she do in response? Like, let her be the one to determine if she still presses forward. I get that here the way that it's written, it makes perfect sense. Like, if this were a novel, that would be a great scene, right? So it's like, it's a good story, but a weird way of roleplay. Because maybe Styx, seeing that blast in her face, doesn't want to hug him, right? Maybe that then becomes, okay, now it's initiative time, right? To put it into D&D terms, and then this log goes somewhere completely else. Or maybe she does. Maybe she tries to talk to him, tries to coax him, and tries to tell him, like, hey, like, it's okay, right? Like a negotiator, right? I'm gonna shoot myself and everybody. Hey, it's okay. No. It's like, no, it's all right. It's all right, buddy. It's okay. Hey, buddy. Hey, let's put the energy blast down. Come on. And that's why it was the moment that I was like, ugh. But now reading it, like, I get it. I see it. I understand the intent behind it. I really do. Because Ike said in his, I don't even remember when he did the video talking about the danger tier list. But in Ike's point of view, Zofu is a very dangerous character. And if something like this is how we're trying to say Zofu is dangerous, I don't think that comes off the way you may think that it does. I wouldn't say that is something that makes him dangerous. And I'm not saying that you can't make him dangerous. You can't make him the person, I think the way that you're wanting to go about it, and if you've ever seen Daredevil, like a Wilson Fisk, right? Where you can be sitting down having a conversation, and 5 minutes ago you said something that I'm going to kill you over. But I'm going to let you talk, I'm going to let you finish, and then I'm going to take your head off with my car door. And you just didn't know, because I'm that pissed off, I'm that mad, I'm that angry, but I'm not showing that emotion. And it was kind of like with Yuletide, Deathtide, right? Like, yeah, we're cool, we're hanging out, but now I'm going to kill you. I think if that's the way that you want to go with Zofu, I think that's a conversation I'll have to save for Minas Mordred, for the next log that I'm going to kind of review. But back to the one at hand, the way that this kind of ends is they don't really talk about that. And I thought that they would. I thought that the image that Styx saw would lead to, like, a conversation. But again, she's kind of like, I wasn't supposed to see that. You can tell me when you want, right? You can talk about that when you want. And I hate to say it, like, at the end of this, like, outside of the Hobbs of Castle Blacklay, Styx is Zofu's best friend. I know Zofu would like for it to be Nova. But I really feel like they shared a moment here deeper than a moment that Nova and Zofu have shared, at least in recent times. And I think that this is a beautiful friendship between two demons. They kind of have, like, this weird level of trust. They have this understanding of each other, and I think this log makes Zofu helping Styx get Charon out makes more sense. It's much more beautiful, especially since, like, the moment that Zofu gets his arm back, that's, like, one of the first things that he does, right? You know, he thanks Rizian, he's talking to Indon. The moment he sees Styx, it's like, buddy, I got you. I just got this new arm, and the first thing I'm going to do is help you take that other demon out of your chest. So this was a good log. It was a good read. It shows us the side of Zofu that I've always said, like, there's Minas Mordred Zofu, and then there's the guy that a lot of people see, and then the first time they kind of bled together, he didn't know how to react. It freaked him out, and he I won't say he overreacted, but he was like, what is this? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, I wear my mask for a reason. So good log. This was a super long video. Sorry that I rambled on for as long as we did. Let's get Legacy together, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.